of them.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is time to really get back into work mode.
Yeah. Back into work mode, back into study mode.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So on Mondays we have a food dialogue, and the title is Kitchen Chat.
Yes.
So basically we're talking about sandwiches, different types of sandwiches. And we have what is called an open-faced sandwich.
Yes.
So I think our listeners can kind of guess what it is. What is an open-faced sandwich, Cameron?
I don't like this concept, but
Okay.
it is a sandwich where you don't have bread on both sides.
Yes. Right.
You only have bread on one side.
The bottom.
Yeah. So the bread is just on the plate, and then you just put toppings on top of it.
That's right.
So it's just like a salad with bread on the bottom.
So it's like, what's the point of a sandwich?
What's the point of the sandwich? The sandwich you're supposed to be able to hold in your hands.
Yeah.
But an open-faced sandwich, you have to have a fork and knife.
You do. Because you can't eat it.
It would get really messy.
Well, especially if there's a sauce or something, and then the bread gets kind of soggy, the bread gets kind of wet, and then it falls apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
You don't like it? Okay. Cameron.
That's my strong opinion for today.
Oh, Cameron is against.
Do you like open-faced sandwiches?
I'm like, what's the point?
Like, this is my thing. Would you make like an open-faced kimbap? Like, kimbap is supposed to be easy to eat, right? A sandwich is supposed to be easy to eat.
Yes.
Would you just like put the keem on the bottom, put all the rice and everything on top, and just eat it with a fork and knife? It just like ruins the concept.
Oh my gosh, Cameron, it just made it so crystal clear. Yeah, it's like an open-faced kimbap. What's the point?
What's the point?
Okay, well the point is we are going to talk about it anyway.
Okay.
Because they exist, okay?
Yes, they do.
All right, so if this open-faced sandwich is topped, T-O-P-P-E-D, it's used as a verb. Topped with something, and think of pizza toppings, right?
Yeah, we hear topping a lot in Korea as well.
That's right.
It's whatever is put on top, whatever ingredient, you are topping it with that ingredient.
Okay. Now, how about this? Get one's name from.
Yes. So often we use the name of one thing to call another thing that.
Okay.
Or like we take one person's name and name our child that.
Oh.
So when you're explaining that, you can say they get their name from.
Okay.
To tell the origin.
All right. And correct me if I'm wrong. This is a great expression. Correct me if I'm wrong.
This is when you are going to say some information, but you think, oh, maybe they know better than I do.
I see.
So I'm going to say it, but if I'm wrong,
let me know.
please tell me. Let me know.
Yeah, I could be wrong. You may know the right answer. Okay, let's go ahead and listen to our dialogue. You've told our viewers one of your favorite sandwiches. What's next on your list?
The next one is the tuna melt. This is 2 pieces of bread, each topped with tuna salad, a tomato, and a slice of provolone cheese. And make sure the tomato is ripe.
I'm guessing it gets its name from the cheese being melted on top.
That's right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it might not be considered a true sandwich to some.
Yes, since there isn't bread on top, it might be a controversial choice.
Please join us on page 62. You can find the power dialogue there. Okay, so Natalia says, you've told our viewers one of your favorite sandwiches. What's next on your list? Okay, so maybe you have, you like this sandwich and that sandwich. Okay, what's the next one? Oliver says, the next one is the tuna melt. This is 2 pieces of bread, each topped with tuna salad, a tomato, and a slice of provolone cheese. And make sure the tomato is ripe. Okay, another sandwich we're introducing today, tuna melt. Now, Cam.
Yes.
We could just say tuna sandwich. Is there a reason why it's melt? M-E-L-T?
Well, the melt here is going to come in with the cheese, and often you are heating that cheese,
Yes.
so it melts into the sandwich.
That's right. And the cheese usually, I mean, it could be really anything, but I would say that American people really love their provolone cheese in sandwiches.
Yes.
Okay, provolone cheese is Provolone. And in Korea, they have provolone cheese. It's not easy to find, but it's an Italian cheese. It's not mozzarella. It's harder. It's like a kind of a soft, hard cheese.
Yeah, soft hard.
Soft, hard.
Medium hard.
Medium hard.
Yes, it's a white cheese. It doesn't have a super strong flavor.
It's not that sharp.
Yeah. But it's like mild.
Yeah, I love provolone cheese.
It's good.
It's very tasty. Okay, so it's each topped with tuna salad. Now, topped with tuna salad. This is interesting because in Korea we just think tuna is tuna, chamchi, right? But it says here tuna salad, so it can be kind of confusing.
Yes, the salad here does not have lettuce. Think of it more like a potato salad. So when you open the can of tuna, often a lot of people mix it with mayonnaise.
That's right.
So the moment you mix the tuna with the mayonnaise,
it becomes a salad?
It becomes tuna salad.
Aha, got it.
Yeah.
But if it's just tuna, then it is just tuna.
Yeah, it would just be tuna.
Okay, so it's topped with tuna salad. So what does this mean?
So topped with is you're using this as a topping. You're putting it on top.
That's right.
So because this is an open-faced sandwich, bread on bottom, and then on top of it, tuna salad, tomato, and the cheese.
Okay. So basically you have two pieces of bread, Cameron.
Yes.
But really, it's not that they are on top of each other, but they're kind of side by side.
Yeah, it's like two pieces of toast.
Yes. Okay. So Natalia says, I'm guessing it gets its name from the cheese being melted on top. That's why it's a tuna melt.
Yes.
Because they put the cheese on top and they melt it. Okay. It gets its name from.
This is an expression to explain the origin, the source of a name. It gets its name from.
Okay.
So the cheese melting, that's why we call it a tuna melt.
That's right. So if someone says, oh, why does it melt? Well, it gets its name from the cheese being melted on top.
Yes.
Okay. And Oliver says that's correct. And Natalia says?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it might not be considered a true sandwich to some.
Okay. So Natalia begins by saying, correct me if I'm wrong. And usually this comes at the beginning.
Yes.
Okay. So you're kind of saying, I could be wrong.
Yes.
So, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Right. Oliver here is the sandwichologist, right? He's the sandwich expert. Natalia maybe knows some things, but she is not the expert here.
Right.
That's why she's saying, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to talk about sandwiches, but if my information is incorrect, you, as the sandwich expert, please correct me.
Yes, that's right. It's like when you're speaking with any expert or teacher about a certain subject, a connoisseur, wine connoisseur, sommelier, as they call them, and you say something about wine, and you're like, oh, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this wine from this region? Yeah, I could be wrong. Okay, so let's look at our power pattern for today. To some. Okay, so it is considered a true sandwich to some. So it can be a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
To some? To some what?
So this is not a coffee place in Korea. It's to, T-O, and then space, S-O-M-E.
Yes.
And this means for some people.
Yes.
Some people might think this way.
Right.
So in this case, some people don't think the tuna melt is a real sandwich.
Yes.
Myself included.
Yeah, like you.
Yeah.
You do not like open-faced sandwiches. So, to some, if someone begins a sentence with to some, it's actually, if you listen carefully, it's to some people.
Yes.
Just think of it, some people.
Yeah, just taking the people out of it.
Yes, that's right. All right, let's go ahead and listen to that one more time. You've told our viewers one of your favorite sandwiches. What's next on your list?
The next one is the tuna melt. This is 2 pieces of bread, each topped with tuna salad, a tomato, and a slice of provolone cheese. And make sure the tomato is ripe.
I'm guessing it gets its name from the cheese being melted on top.
That's right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it might not be considered a true sandwich to some.
Yes, since there isn't bread on top, it might be a controversial choice.
It's time for Power Note. Please join us on pages 64 and 65. Now, if something is topped with something, it means that it covers it. It's like the last thing that you put on the top.
Yes.
Okay? Remember how messy Sarah got at the ice cream parlor on her birthday?
Yeah, her ice cream sundae was topped with chocolate sauce and sprinkles, and it got all over her clothes.
Mm-hmm. So, I remember when frozen yogurt first came out in the U.S.
Yeah.
And there was like 30 different toppings you could, Wow, for a young kid, it was so difficult.
It was so many choices.
So many choices.
And then you go to check out to pay.
Right.
And your ice cream weighs like 50 pounds. You pay like $130 for one, because you paid by the weight, right?
It's
just kept piling toppings on top.
I know, exactly. And you think, frozen yogurt is good for you. Well, with all the toppings that you topped it off with all of those toppings, then not so much.
Yeah.
Okay. The pizza was topped with fresh basil and mozzarella.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So, food items that you can have topped with. You could have, of course, a pizza, ice cream, a cake maybe has something topped on it.
Sure.
You could even have topped with a toy.
Yeah.
Or something.
Depending on...
Like a wedding cake has those little
bride and groom.
Bride and grooms on them.
Yeah, that's right. So usually I think that this is used with mostly food. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Even if you're putting something on top of something else... I don't know if it's not food.
Yeah.
Maybe a Christmas tree. The Christmas tree is topped with a star. You know how you put a star on top?
Yeah, that's right. But even that sounds a little awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's topped with something. It has to be physical and it has to be located at the very top.
Yes.
Okay. All right. If you get your name from somewhere, it means that you are getting that name from something or someone. So let's give some examples. Who is your sister named after?
She gets her name from our grandmother, who was also named Eleanor.
Now, isn't this true? I find more in America where they do get their names from their mothers or their grandmothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see Korean people getting their names from their grandmothers.
Well, they have the family poem, so they can't get their full name.
Well, that is true.
Right?
Yes.
Like every generation has that.
Yeah.
Not every family, but a lot of them do.
One letter.
Yeah, one character.
One character. Yeah.
What about you, though? Where do you get your name from?
No, I don't think anywhere, really.
Mine? My mom was at a baseball field, and she heard someone yell the word, Cameron, Cameron. She was pregnant at the time. She's like, that's a nice name. I'll name my child.
So you got your name from a person at a baseball field?
My mom was just eating popcorn at the baseball field.
That is so funny. All right, this dish gets its name from the region where it was first created. So usually when we're talking about food and certain names or maybe the city name, you're kind of like, this is an unusual name. Maybe there's a history, there's a story, and it gets its name from there.
Yeah, so there are some Korean foods like 닭갈비. Is it Chuncheon?
Chungcheondo? Yeah.
Chuncheon 닭갈비?
Yes.
We got like 평양냉면. Yeah,
True.
There are a few different things that it gets its name from the region or from the city that it originated from.
Yeah, very true, very true. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong is basically saying what I'm about to say, I could be wrong, and if I am, let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we reschedule the meeting for tomorrow?
Yes, but since I was in the building, I thought I would stop by.
Okay. So this could be, in this case, it's kind of like, I could be wrong, but didn't we, aren't we supposed to do this? So it's a kind of polite way of saying, why are you here?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I might be mistaken, but I think you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe
I'm wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. That's how I remember it, but correct me if I'm wrong. So you're retelling a story or you're sharing a story and maybe you don't get certain facts correctly. So you're saying, oh, that's what I remember, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes. You're opening up the possibility for, I don't know everything. Yeah. Maybe I made a mistake. So it's kind of a safe way. You're going to say something, but then you put this at the end or you put it at the beginning. So just in case you made a mistake.
Yeah.
That you can kind of cover yourself.
Right. So, like in our dialogue, you were talking to an expert. So whatever you say, you could be wrong. So correct me if I'm wrong. Or it could be maybe the facts, or maybe you understood the meeting to be tomorrow. And then the person, your coworker, thinks it's next week. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it's one of those situations where you're kind of double checking.
Yeah.
And then just saying, okay, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All right. To some is basically short for to some people. It may look that way to some.
But that's not the case.
But that's it. Yeah, it looks that way, but it's not.
She may seem selfish to some.
Yeah. To some people, she may seem selfish, but she's actually really kind.
Yeah. She's just ambitious.
Yeah.
She's just a businesswoman.
The businesswoman. All right. Provolone cheese. Okay.
Yum.
Page 66. Do you like provolone cheese?
I do.
Yeah.
Like a turkey and provolone sandwich.
It's the best combination.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. Because sometimes the American cheese, the yellow cheese, the American cheese, that doesn't go with certain sandwiches.
Yeah. American cheese is great for a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
But I don't like it on like a regular sandwich.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. All right. So do check out the definition on page 66, like I just mentioned. And please stop by Audio 어학당.
Yes.
And subscribe for a small monthly fee. And then also you need to stop by again.
Yes, EBS FM at 6 p.m.
Okay, very good. We're going on live, so we'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye.
Bye.